Welcome to Straight Talk with your host, Patti Foster.
So I wanted you to talk to us about Ozzy and what he experienced in the war.
My husband, he was in a ghetto. He and his whole family, but he didn't look Jewish. He was around 11 years old when this has happened, and they were already gathered up in a concentration camp, and it was a camp. And because he didn't look too much Jewish, he was so young, 11 years old, and he had hazel eyes. It depends what color he put on. That's how his eyes changed too. And so he was a very handsome young man, a young kid too. And his parents needed food, so he went out to get them something to eat. And he went out with a group of non-Jewish children because they didn't know who he was. He spoke both languages, so naturally. And he went out and he stayed a little longer than he should. He played around. It took 2 days before he came back. By the time he came back, there was no ghetto there. They took everybody and shot them. They dug their own graves and shot them and killed the whole family. And he was out by himself. He was 11 years old when it happened. And he remained alone. Then he decided that that's what had happened. He's going to change his name. He's called himself a very Russian name. And the Germans picked him up because he was an orphan, a kid. Nobody knew who he was. And usually they were able to tell who was Jewish, who was not, by the circumcision. The Jewish children were circumcised. The Gentile children was not. And so by the circumcision, but it looked like the guy who did the circumcision did the best up job. And it didn't show too bad. He was scared enough that he passed as a Gentile boy. And they took him to Germany. He worked 5 years on a farm. And that's how he escaped not getting into the concentration camp. He worked in a farm. But he protected the farmer all his life. I knew him because he said the farmer was very good to him. And he protected him. He says, I gave him a day's work. He gave me good food. And he took care of me. And he never wanted anything back in return from me because of that. Because he felt that he was treated right in the farm.
What happened to his family?
Got killed. Taken away. They took him away that night, that 2 days that he was going out for food. They took his whole family and killed them, shot them. In Russia, they make them dig their own graves and then they kill them. They shot them. And then they had other inmates come, cover them up, and then take thee out and kill them again. They were doing that the whole time. Germany did that in Russia. In Lemberg, close area, close to the Russian territory, Polish or Russian territory. And that's what happened over there. They didn't take him out to Auschwitz like they took us. He survived. And that's how he survived. And then he came into United States and we met. I was going upstairs. My husband was coming downstairs. And he had the package in his hand. The first time I saw him was a couple of days earlier that I saw him. And everything that was in my hand fell out.
Oh, that is cute.
What happened to me, I don't know what. I looked at him and I thought to myself, are you going to be my husband?
Wow.
And everything that I had and everybody that was in that room said, I must have known him earlier. And I said, I never saw the man before. But somehow it struck me a very unusual thing when I saw him. And everything fell out of my hands, and that was it. And I didn't thought too much after it, because I was a pretty popular girl. There was 10 newcomer boys here, and I was the only girl here. You can imagine, I was popular. I didn't have the choice. Anyway, so by a couple of days later, I was going up the stairs, he was coming down the stairs with the package in his hand. And I said, where are you going? He says, I'm going to Sweet 16th. I didn't know what he was talking, but it's okay, Sweet 16th. She's 16 years old, it's her birthday. Okay. I didn't realize it's such a big thing, but it was. And we sat down and started talking. And by the time we finished talking, him and me, he went to that Sweet 16 party, but it was after the party and they threw him out. And I felt so sorry for him that I decided to marry him. I rescued him, yes. But that was Ozzy. Our life began very unusual. We didn't have nothing. He didn't have not a dollar. I didn't have nothing.
How old were you?
I was 21. He was 20. And we got married in August 15th, 1950. And it was a very happy marriage. We didn't have a honeymoon. I remember that when we got married, we took off a week vacation because everybody said you have to have a vacation. So we took off a week of vacation. I didn't have a job. He had a job. He was getting 40 cents an hour. He worked as a cabinet maker, training to become a cabinet maker. But then things have changed after it. And so the man was training him to become a cabinet maker. That's what he wanted to be. And I was looking for a job. And we took off a week vacation. We got ourselves a room, and we took off a week vacation. And I remember the music was playing, the radio was playing, and we were out in the backyard, and I brought something very special out, a pitcher of cold ice water. And we were sitting and enjoying our music. It was an unusual marriage, a very primitive, healthy background marriage. There was with very little. And then I decided, I think I mentioned that once before, and I don't know if you have it on a tape or not, and I decided I'm going to bake a cake. Oh. I never baked a cake before, but I had honey, and I had baking soda. I didn't have baking powder, but I had baking soda. I didn't know baking soda, baking powder is something two different things. And I put in baking soda, and I baked the cake. I mixed up everything, and eggs and everything, and I made the cake, put it in, and baked it. When I baked it, it was big cake, rice, big, very nice. And I covered it up very nice and something, and I called them in. I said, honey, I have a surprise for you. And I make coffee, and we sat down to have coffee and cake. And I opened up that cake, and it became teeny. The surprise was not on him, it was on me. Just as much as it was on him. And he looked at me, and I looked at him. I got a slice of cake, and he ate part of that cake, drank some coffee, and don't ask what the result was of that cake. Baking soda. That was part of our honeymoon, part of week vacation that we had. Then I went out and I got out in the sun. I didn't know Texas sun what it does. And that was before we got married. Month before we got married, I went out to the sun. And I stayed all day in the sun. And you can imagine what happened to my back. I got a sunburn. It was so bad that I couldn't go to work. I stayed home. I was scared to get outside, and outside it was my whole skin was raw, the back. And he took off from work to stay home to nurse my back, to put lotion on. And then I thought to myself, now this is really should be a marriage. It's more 100% to get married. Now I'm more sure than ever that this is going to be the right marriage for us two. And so little bits that happened that secured me to stay with him. And it was a very unusual marriage, very happy. We lived for each other, and we had 5 kids together. 2 of them lived, and 3 had died. 2 little boys and a girl. I miss them a lot now. I'm getting older. I wish my little girl would live on. And the 2 boys too, but it didn't meant for me. So instead that I have a handicapped son and 1 normal child that has blessed me with 3 grandchildren. But what's going to happen, I don't know. But I do have a family from that, and we hope that something will come up out of it. I'm very blessed that I do have grandchildren, because when I wasn't in Auschwitz, I was afraid I probably never have any children. The heavy work had damaged me tremendously. I had 2 surgeries to be able to have my 2 kids.
Remind us of the day that Osi died. What was the year?
It'd be 5 years in March. So what year was it? I don't know. 81? 2011, yeah. He died. Before he died, he says, I want you to remember, take care of yourself and take care of our son. And with that, he died. That was his last words to me. It was a long time to get over. I'm not over it yet. He will always be part of my life. I still say every morning, good morning, honey, and go on with my life. But I have to take care of my son. He's the most important thing in my life. It has always been, because he was born handicapped, and so he really does not hear nothing. And he's completely silent. And even today, as I was driving to go to the synagogue, it's Saturday, and I say Kaddish. It's a Jewish word. It means memorial services. Every Saturday, I still stand up and say Kaddish after my husband. Even he's gone 5 years ago. It's customary only to stay up for the first year. But it's 5 years later, I'm still standing up when they say Kaddish in the synagogue. And today I was thinking to myself, he's gone. There's not much anybody can do or say. But I have to go to the synagogue and stand up for him for memorial services. Okay. And that's the only tribute I can give him, to remember him by it. But today was a very unusual day. I don't know why. Maybe because it's between the Jewish holidays and things. Each time they were calling people to the bima, tears came to my eyes. There's no reason, but tears just come to my eyes constant. I try not to, but it's not mine doing. It's somebody else doing them. Somehow tears came each time. Prayers were coming up. I just said, tears came to my eyes. I don't know what's happening. And I feel sorry for myself or what. I don't know. Maybe old age is hitting me. I don't know. But something is, some revolution's going on in my brain. I do not have a name for it yet. Maybe in due time I may find a name. Who knows? I may never find out what it is. It's just part because probably the holidays too. Memory of the holidays, of the children, of the brothers and sisters I had. I had five brothers and one sister. And I lost them except one brother. One brother survived and four of them has vanished with the rest of the whole family. And my brother, the one, he settled in Belgium, has 3 sons. He did very well. All 3 sons are well off. And 2 of them got married, have children. One of them never got married. Youngest one never got married. He's the head of a charge of a hospital. He's a doctor. And the second son is a doctor in Israel. He practices in Israel. And one son is in Belgium. He is an accountant. And that's his 3 sons that my brother had.
Tell us about the nickname.
Oh, my brothers, they loved me so much. And they nicknamed me Al. And I don't know why the Al became my, come to think of it, it was a very perfect name for me because I had bushy hair and big brown eyes. And that's how I was as a child. And they named me Al. I know I had a speaking engagement the other day. And in my speaking engagement, one of the guys opened up and he says, "You know something? Now that I heard your speech, I think your brothers and sisters were right by naming you Al." That was the answer from one of the participants, the one that listened to my speech. In the Holocaust Museum, there was over 100 people there. And I had a speech for them. And they were adults. So I told them about my part of my life. And so by the time they got through, that's what he hollered out. Your brothers and sisters were right naming you Al. That was the proper name they gave you.
Now that it's been 4 or 5 years since Ozzy died, tell us about some of the dearest things you remember about Ozzy that comes back to your mind.
I don't know what to really point. It's a contagious. It's something unexplainable. They come and go, certain things, to help me. But I know he's gone, but somehow I feel like he's with me. He's still with me. And I know one day my son came home. He says, "I need your daddy's driver's license." He says, "Do you know what they are?" I said, "Yes." He says, "What is it?" I said, "In my wallet." I carry his driver's license with me. I almost feel like sometime he drives the car and not me. It's such a unreal things happen. And so certain things happen that it's just very hard to explain it, to say what has happened since he's gone. Because he's not going really out of my heart. He will always be with me. He's with me. No matter his body is going and he's not here, but somehow I feel like he's with me, constant. I know I buried him. He has a stone and I go out sometime. His remains. When I visit, I don't visit Ozzy. I visit his remains.
Some of the listeners don't know Ozzy.
Yeah.
Tell us about his personality.
Personality was, I never could do the wrong thing. He always find right things with me. And he always calmed me down, no matter what it was. He was a rock in my life. He was very strong. I was the weak one, I guess. But sometime I used to come home, and then he used to always... He never saw wrong in nobody. He always said every human being has a good part. You just have to find it. That was Ozzy.
That was Ozzy.
Ozzy was a very unusual young man. He always gave everybody the minute of thing. He put lots of people into business because of that. And he worked with people and people worked with him. He was a very great person. He was a great human being. He worked very hard to get where he was. He worked. He never had a day off. It's a shame that I sometimes think to myself, why did you not retire at 70 like other people do? My husband didn't. He went to the last minute he was in the work. And I miss it a lot. I see people now, husband and wives, coming into the gym together. And I miss that I didn't have that chance. But I just bother all the other people now. I'm very nice to the old people. I'm very nice. I say hello. I tease them. I joke with them. And time goes on. And they are very nice to me. Because of that, it's just somehow everybody says hello and I say hello back. And this is something America has very little, particularly since we have the computers. They all go into the computers and they're always completely silent. You go in to ride the bicycle, they plug in their ears and the eardrums, put on the television, that's the end of the person. And then they finish their thing and get off and turn off and walk away. You do not have conversation no more too much. And now if somebody says a good morning, it's very pleasant to come in. It just looks like people welcome it. They welcome it more than they used to before. And we should learn to say hello to each other. We should talk to each other. People in America have learned one thing, how to take, but not how to give. They're not givers. They're takers. They give money and all kind of things, but that's not. The little personal things are very important. When we start learning to give little personal things, is more than money or anything in the world. I close it with that.
Thanks for listening to Straight Talk with your host, Patti Foster. Patti is a motivational speaker, writer, musician, and has an amazing testimony of God's faithfulness. For more information, log on to www.pattifoster.com.